Welcome. You've got emo stuff. Saturdays on Planet Radio
106.7
with Hunter deBlanc.
Planet Radio 106.7, the best rock on the planet. Welcome back to Saturdays. I'm Hunter deBlanc, playing all your favorite emo and pop punk stuff. And you may know my guest this week as the singer of the band MEST. They have a new song out right now everywhere featuring Jared Reddick of Bowling for Soup. It's called When We Were Young. This week with me, we have Tony Lovato.
What's up, guys? Let me get my radio voice go.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? This is Tony from MEST. How you
Beautiful,
doing,
man. Good, brother. Good. So next year will actually be the 30th anniversary of MEST as a band. And I just wanted to ask, who were some of the band's earliest influences? You guys formed in 95, right?
Yeah, you just fucking blew my mind. Is that real life? That is, huh?
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Dude, I literally haven't thought about that. That's fucking crazy. That just hit me. I didn't fucking think about that. I keep thinking our band's 28 years old, so I'm like, yeah, that's nuts, dude. Fuck, what was the question? Sorry, that blew my mind.
Sorry, I gotta let you recalibrate for a second.
Yeah, that's crazy.
30 years, man. A lot of people, and so I saw something the other day. It was like the equivalent to Back to the Future now would be somebody going back to 94, 95, which blows my mind every time as well.
I know, I see those memes all the time where it's like, I was like Dazed and Confused, and they were saying the ratio of that, and I'm just like, they're like that 70s show was like that 90s. I'm just like, fuck, dude, like time's going by quick, but I still feel decent on the inside. So, but yeah, what was the question? 30 years? I mean,
who were some of the band's earliest influences, and more specifically, some of the band's more ska-related influences? Because when you listen back to some of the earlier MEST, you hear a lot of more ska influence in the music.
So like the first bands I ever listened to that were punk bands. A couple of years before the band even started, in my neighborhood was a lot of older kids that listened to punk rock music. And like Social D was massive in our neighborhood. Bad Religion was massive in our neighborhood. The Clash, like I remember hearing the Clash as a kid. And so I'm sure that definitely probably played a part into the concept of MEST. Then when the writing started, it was definitely more of like the Rancid, Green Day, Operation Ivy. There was a band from Chicago that I really liked called Slapstick. And the bassist eventually went on to become the bassist of the Alkaline Trio. The singers been in a couple bands like the Broadways. Discovered them opening up for Rancid, and they were super punk ska. Like they're fucking still to this day, I love the record. That was the earlier influences. And then like obviously I liked Goldfinger, obviously, because that turned into what would, become of our start of our career. But yeah, I would say the early influences were definitely like the Rancid, Green Day, NoFX, which definitely still continued on. But there was the Operation Ivy, the Less Than Jake, the ska world of shit, was definitely in our band more for sure. Like you were saying, like definitely our first demos didn't have any ska. We wrote like one stupid song called our ska song. And then from there, when we did, we sort of put those demos together with some new recordings. I had this shit in my head where I was like, okay, every song has to have punk and ska on it. Like I just couldn't write just a punk song, just a ska song. It was definitely that concept. But it was more like, because I liked the band Slapstick so much and Operation Ivy, it was more like grittier ska than like Real Big Fish or Goldfinger, It was like
less of the polished stuff, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. More punk than ska, I guess, if that makes sense. But yeah, definitely that was the earlier, the shit before,
Before the Feldman era, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's one of the first tracks that I discovered by MEST off of their 2000 album, Wasting Time. This is Drawing Board right here on Planet Radio 106.7.
Welcome.
Planet Radio 106.7. Welcome back to Saturdays. I'm Hunter deBlanc, once again playing all your favorite emo and pop punk stuff every Saturday night right here, 7 p.m. Central Time. And I'm here again with Tony Lovato of the band MEST. And Tony, we're going to play something off of the 2003 self-titled album, which is one of the most underrated pop punk albums from front to back. Fucking perfection. Chef's kiss the whole way. John Feldman produced it. What was it like working with Feldman as going from someone who was, influenced by the band to, I know you guys toured with Goldfinger and then you get to record albums with them. What was that like?
With Feldman, like I remember going to Goldfinger shows, loving the live show, being like, that's fucking rad, like all the energy. So I would just always hassle them outside of shows and give John demos. But I remember when we were recording the Mo Money records that you were referring to, I always had, I still believe in it too, the concept of what you put out there, like that, what was it, The Secret, that book back then. So that, before the book even came out though, I always would have these very vivid thoughts, imaginations in my head. And I remember going to the studio and I was being like, it'd be rad if John was recording our band for some reason. This is pre-John producing. A&Ring, working for a label. I don't know why I even like had these thoughts or whatever. It was just weird that like that's where our career went to. Like 3 years later, all of a sudden, John's working with a band I know, and he's doing all this stuff. And so that was our third record with him at that point. It was sort of like for those years of our career, John was sort of like the staple guy. Like some bands just find a dude and that's like, you know, he'd put a lot into our band, a lot of effort, a lot of work into records, did a lot for our band. So it was like, if he wanted to do the records to us, we were like, yeah, of course, like this is our guy. Being that John's a singer, songwriter, frontman, producer, and then me being a singer, songwriter, working on learning how to produce songs, you know, I think that creative tension, which can be good. If there's not that, it's sort of like somebody's just taking the fucking wheel and driving. It's like there's got to be passion involved with writing
got
songs.
A little push and pull there, yeah.
For sure. And so that definitely went on with me and John for a lot of stuff. But, you know, and like after we'd finish a record, we'd take a couple months off from each other because it was
needed a break.
Yeah, but it was like nothing but love. Like, you know, like obviously I'm thankful for everything he did for the band in the beginning of our career. It was cool, man. And then to see John go on and do all the shit that he's done after us, you know, like that we were there for pretty much the start, the beginning, you know. So, yeah. But yeah, it was cool, man. It was memories, like locked in memories that I'll fucking never forget, you know.
This next MEST song that we're going to play features guest vocals from Benji Madden of Good Charlotte, which leads me to this question. Oh, and man, this is so, you were the only interview that my graduating class is going to give a shit about just because of this reason. MEST Jaded was our class song of graduating class.
Was it really?
I forced instead of, they wanted Vitamin C, Graduation, or Green Day, Time of Your Life, or Eve 6, Here's to the Night. But I was like, no, give this song a chance. MEST Jaded. And sure enough, it is our graduating class song. So they are all thrilled that you're on the show.
I'm glad I beat out Vitamin C. I mean,
beat out Vitamin C, big time. I was like, we're not gonna have a basic ass song. I was like, we have to have something cool. So the entire class knows that song because of me. But I had our class president reach out to me. She saw that I was doing this interview, and she was like, "Let me find a yearbook so you could show them." They misspelled the band's name in.
What did you MESSED?
MEST.
Oh, fuck. I mean, I'll put it this, here's another, on our first ticket ever, our band name printed, we're like, fuck, we have our names printed on tickets. So I'm like, memory, right? I want to keep this thing. I still have
Frame it, yeah.
MESSED.
Well, you got MEST. So anytime anyone in our class has had a Sierra MEST for the past 20 years,
you probably
I know. We'll send them a lawsuit in the works for the small Catholic school in our town in Louisiana. So I know you guys knew Good Charlotte previously. How did Benji get on this song? Or was that the idea going in that Benji was going to sing on this track?
When we were doing that record, I don't know if they were in the middle of doing a record too, but we were hanging out a lot, obviously around LA, and I think Ben had he moved out there yet? I'm not sure. Yeah, he came in and like sat down, and we were just fucking, because we were friends, like we hung out all the time, so it was more just like, we'd be working on a song, and he'd show up at Feldman's, you know, and then like, I think he wrote on a couple songs with me where I'd be like, hey, I'm stuck on this part, I need something else, you know, and like Jaded, I don't think he didn't write on Jaded at all. That was just a song that we were like, okay, this is going to be the single, so you want to fucking guest on it. Good Charlotte was massive at the time.
That same year, 2003, I caught their Lifestyles tour, I think that year. It was my first concert. I was 16, 17, and them and Newfound Glory, they were massive at that point in the career.
Yeah, that was the Honda Civic tour when they were doing those. Remember those? I think that was the fucking...
That was it.
Yeah. When they did the big tour on the Lifestyles, which is famous, one of the tours, at least, and we did part of that tour too. It was like us and something. Corporate was on part, and then Goldfinger and Eve 6 were on the other part or something. But yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things where we're like, hey, we're going to do this song. You know, we'd written together on a couple things here and there. So it's just like, where do we put it? Like, you know, what do we do? And pretty simple. Threw on a couple ideas, and we're like, this works.
Well, it played at our high school graduation, and we're going to let our listeners get a...
Awesome. Congratulations to whatever that high school is. What is it?
Opelousas Catholic 2004.
Opelousas?
Yeah, it's a weird...
Opelousas Catholic 2004. Congratulations.
20 years in the making. We got our reunion later this year, so this will definitely play at that as well. This is MEST off of their 2003 self-titled album featuring Benji Madden of Good Charlotte with their song Jaded, our class song, right here on Planet Radio 106.7. Planet Radio 106.7, welcome back to Saturdays. I'm here again with Tony Lovato of the band MEST, and we're going to play a Covers for Lovers segment off of the soundtrack for Not Another Teen Movie, and you guys covered Modern English's I Melt With You. Was this recorded specifically for this soundtrack?
Somebody else was asking me about this because they were saying that, we were on a couple of the movies back in the day. Maverick Records had their fucking paws in a lot of the soundtracks for movies just in general. Guy Osiri, who was our A&R guy who ran Maverick, he somehow, I don't know why, he was like the guy for soundtracks that would just organize all the shit. So that being said, we would get asked to do these a lot, or, have the opportunity to. And yeah, it was just one of those things where it was like, you guys want to do this, it's going to be all cover songs, bands that we were touring with at the time, bands that were popular. You guys want to do this song? And we're like, yeah, as long as we can do like a fucking punk rock version of it, then yeah, for sure.
So they picked the track for you.
Yeah, they were like, do you guys want to play this song? We're looking, like, I mean, honestly, I don't know if there were options, but or if it was just like, if you guys want to do this, cover this song in a MEST version and give it to us. It might have been that. Yeah, it's fucking 30 years ago.
When I was at that age, I hadn't really discovered, but I hadn't dove into the 80s, like Modern English and stuff like that. So this was the version I became the most familiar with.
I didn't realize so many other bands had covered it until because it's one of our most played things when I look up our Spotify shit, or Shazam, that type of shit. And I didn't realize how many other bands had actually, but I mean, it makes sense. It was a fucking massively popular song. So of course that's going to happen.
Well, we're going to let our listeners hear your version of it now off of the soundtrack for Not Another Teen Movie with their cover of Modern English. This is MEST with I Melt With You right here on Planet Radio 106.7. Planet Radio 106.7, welcome back to Saturdays. Once again, I'm Hunter deBlanc here with Tony Lovato of the band MEST, and they have a brand new track that we're going to play right now. It's called When We Were Young, and it features Jared Reddick, Bowling for Soup. Tony, how did Jared end up on this song, and what does MEST have planned later on for this year with the album dropping and everything?
Jared, like Benj, we're, me and Jared, friends. We met in 2003 on Warped Tour. We played tons of shows together. We played together in Japan, shit like that. Toured together in 2019. Just recently did a tour last fall together. Jared's just one of my friends, like outside of music and shit. We stay in touch a lot. I was writing the record, and the tour that we were doing together that was last fall was already planned. I was just like, yo, you want to jump on a song? He's always been a big supporter of MEST, big fan of MEST. I remember him stating when we were hanging on the bus one night, he was talking about the song Rooftops. Like, he loves the song Rooftops. And he's like, in my opinion, he goes, there's two songs that it's had to define the pop punk of those early 2000s, which he said, I think All American Rejects, Swing Swing was like one of them. He goes, but Rooftops, he's like, he goes, if I had to pick a song, he goes, that defines our whole era. And he's like, I'll die on that hill. And I was like, that's a big statement, dude. I appreciate that, But he's always loved MEST. Our crew became friends with their crew, and so I just reached out to him and I was like, hey, you want to get on a track, this and that? He's like, yeah, absolutely. So sent him that song, and I was like, I think it'd be rad, because the way that the verses sort of sing in the song, it's sort of back and forth type of shit, like it's almost bleed over each other but don't. And I'm like, that talkback sort of thing would be cool if I did one line, you did one line, gave him the idea, and he's like, yeah, for sure. So I sent it to him, and we were trying to have it out even before the tour last fall, but we're still a DIY band, and people don't realize that, like, when you're doing everything yourself, it's like, in order to not have your career just fucking landslide, you have to make sure that when you put in work and you got music that's coming out, you need to have all your ducks in a row. And we just weren't ready to put it out before that tour, unfortunately. So thankfully, we sort of got our shit going now. Everything's sort of set in place. So we have to tour, obviously, on records. We're not a radio band. We have some stuff coming up. We got, in April, we got a Pop Punk's Not Dead Festival coming up April 20th, next week. Tonight, we're playing in Havasu, a thing called Havasu Meltdown. A Chicago show coming up, which we haven't announced yet. We got a St. Louis show coming up, we haven't announced yet. We got Mexico coming up that we haven't announced yet. Europe, we have announced. And then we got some shit coming up in fall, which is going to be pretty awesome. Teaming up with another band, haven't announced it yet.
So many secrets. So many secrets.
Nothing's everything's sort of being put together right now. So it sucks. I wish I could be like, here's the fucking list, but if something falls through, then people are going to be like, what the fuck? You said you were coming.
You're lying. This dude's lying.
I'm just covering my ass. Yeah, so a lot of touring continuously, hopefully.
Busy year. Oh, you say you're not a radio band, but we're going to change that shit right now. We're going to play some MEST on the goddamn radio with their brand new track, When We Were Young. And speaking of, we got to get MEST at When We Were Young Fest eventually, man. Someday.
I feel like it's time. You know, we've been fucking gypped 3 times at this point.
It's coming. I got my fingers crossed for you guys. And speaking of When We Were Young, here is the radio premiere of MEST's brand new track of the same name right now on Planet Radio 106.7. Tony, thank you for chatting with us today.
For sure, man. Thank you for having me.
Guys, go download this song, save it on Spotify, add it to your playlist, stream the shit out of it. This is MEST with When We Were Young right here on Planet Radio 106.7.